So my name is Stef Krups, and I'm currently a postdoctoral research fellow of the Flemish Research Council, the FWO, at Ghent University, and I did my PhD at Leuven University, and I've been at Ghent for the past 7 years or so. Well, most cutting-edge research in my field, or in the fields in which I'm active, like literary studies, cultural memory studies, post-colonial studies, is conducted by academics who are based in the United States. And I think one reason for that state of affairs is that the American Academy tends to be more open to interdisciplinary research than its European, or at least its continental European counterpart. In Europe, boundaries between disciplines and even between the various national literatures tend to be relatively strictly maintained, whereas in the US, boundary crossing, boundary blurring has long been the order of the day. And this encourages creativity and originality in humanities research. Comparative literature departments in particular are known to foster innovative and advanced research across the various disciplines of the humanities. So that's why an American comparative literature department seemed like an ideal environment in which to carry out the kind of research that I wanted to do, which is cross-regional, interdisciplinary in nature. Now, why did I decide to go to Columbia in particular? Well, the institute that hosted me has many academics of international renown among its ranks whose research directly informs my own. And so I expected the visiting scholar experience. I expected that as a visiting scholar I would be able to tap into the wealth of expertise that this institute has to offer, and that's an experience that I expected to be extremely beneficial to my own research, my own professional development, which indeed it was. So that's why Columbia topped my list of universities where I wanted to spend a sabbatical year. That was relatively straightforward, I found. So I applied for visiting scholar status to the director of the institute that I've already mentioned, the Institute for Comparative Literature and Society at Columbia, whom I didn't know personally. Now what this involved was submitting my CV and a cover letter in which I explained why I wanted to come to the institute. And then I waited and waited and waited some more. It was the middle of the summer when I sent my email, so that probably explains why it took them a while to reply. But eventually I received an official letter of invitation, and that was basically it. But of course that's just the first step in the process, and it's at that point, at that point you don't have any funding yet, so you can start looking around for that. Another big challenge, especially with a city like New York, is to find suitable and affordable housing. And we were lucky in that department because a Fulbright alumnus and friend of mine who was a PhD student at Columbia at the time helped us to get Columbia housing, university housing. So we sublet an apartment from a Columbia professor, which was very nice and which was very close to campus, so in Morningside Heights. And another problem that you have to deal with is, or another question that you have to deal with is what to do about your own house in Belgium. We decided to rent that out, and we had to, that involves finding a tenant, also reading up on tenancy legislation, etc. So it's all a bit complicated and a bit time consuming, but with hindsight it was all well worth it. One of the things that struck me is that Fulbright is a really strong brand, if I can put it like that. Of all the grants and scholarships, etc., that I've ever received, I don't think I've ever been congratulated as often and by as many different people, including non-academics, as I have been on this Fulbright grant. So that was quite striking, and I found it very amazing. And I think one way in which, one very concrete way in which Fulbright has made a difference to my career is that I have recently been appointed to a research professorship in the English department at Ghent University, and you know, I don't think that would have happened if I hadn't been a Fulbright scholar at as prestigious a university as Columbia. I obviously can't prove this, right? But I think it's safe to assume that my Fulbright experience played a big part in that success, and that it favorably impressed the committee, so the University's Research Council, and that it gave me an edge over other candidates. So, of course, this is one element among other elements, but I think it's fair to say that I owe my appointment, at least in part, to Fulbright. So thank you, Fulbright Commission. Well, the whole year was one big highlight, really. But if I have to single out a few things, there would obviously be the vibrant intellectual life at Columbia and at other universities in New York, like NYU, the New School, like CUNY. So I've never been to so many talks and seminars and conferences before. That was very enriching and stimulating, exciting. I also got to meet lots of top scholars, because everybody passes through New York. I particularly benefited from the university seminars on cultural memory and redress at Columbia. I also got to present my own research in one of these seminars, and I learned a great deal in a wonderful, very high-level graduate course that I audited. So, academically speaking, that was definitely, or those were definitely highlights of my stay. Of course, there's also the incredibly busy cultural program in New York, which we took full advantage of. I've never been to so many amazing shows and exhibitions, musicals, plays, and what have you. And so that was amazing. And one other thing that's nice about New York is that as a foreigner, you instantly feel at home there. We found it to be a very open and very welcoming city. We made new friends there, and also got to see the American friends that we already had a lot more than we would have done normally, because everybody likes to visit New York. So I guess those would definitely be highlights of my stay. Well, my first piece of advice would be to just do it. If you're at all serious about your research, about your academic career, then I bet you will find a research stay at a top university in the US extremely beneficial, right? So don't be put off by the application process, by other obstacles that you will encounter. Yes, it can all be very time-consuming and a bit stressful at times, but it's well worth it in my experience anyway. Now, for some specific advice, perhaps about the application process, one piece of advice would be to start early, because you need this letter of invitation to begin with. So you have to get in touch with somebody at the university of your choice, and it may take them a while to reply, especially if, like me, you email them in the middle of the summer. So that's something to consider. Also, take your time to fill out all the forms, the application forms, and to compile the required materials. Talk to Fulbright alumni. They've been there. They've been there, done that. Prepare for the interview also, so try to anticipate questions and bear in mind that the people on the committee are generally not specialists in your field, so try to avoid jargon, keep it simple, and I think that should take you a long way. We had an absolutely wonderful time there. In every respect, it was an incredibly enriching and eye-opening and horizon-broadening experience, and I'm very grateful to have had this opportunity, and I think I will always cherish the memory. Het was een fantastische ervaring in elk opzicht. Ik ben erg dankbaar om die kans gehad te hebben en ik zal de herinnering daaraan altijd blijven koesteren.